Good day. Today we're going to talk about how adopting a you build it, you run it operating model for your digital services can really help when it comes to dealing with a security incident. Secure delivery is often thought about by businesses when it's too late and when things go wrong. Our secure delivery playbook that is in the link in the description below will tell you more about how to ensure security is embedded into your delivery practices. But nothing is a fail-safe. So even if you have thought about security through your software development lifecycle, how do you go about reducing the impact of security incidents by having an operating model that reduces that financial exposure on this failure? Here's how. So let's look at the requirements for a national telco and discuss what the impacts would be if they had a security or data breach, as we've recently seen in the case of Optus. There are three areas that are impacted as a result of a security or data breach. The first one is the revenue impacts. So during the security breach, the organisation may have had to close down some access to their digital services, and that's in order to prevent further incidents from happening or further impact of that breach. This may have resulted in new customers not being able to be onboarded, or existing customers being unable to pay their bills online, or existing customers being able to extend or upgrade their mobile contract or tariff. All of that is going to have an impact on the revenue to the company. The second one is via cost impacts. So during a security breach, the cost to the organisations will have been large. Not only just the cost to fix the incident, but the compensation that you may have to apply to the customers that are affected, or even the cost to governments and regulators in terms of fines. The third impact, and is probably the largest impact, will be felt in the brand. Existing customers are very likely to lose trust in the organisation, and this may very well result in those churn of customers to maybe a competitor. Potential new customers may now be reluctant to join in the short term, and that would result in a drop of acquisition. And lastly, the company may have to react to this by reducing prices or offering discounts to come to the company or even stay, having a huge impact on the revenue. This was actually seen as a real-life example when there was a security breach in the US retailer Target, not to be confused with the Australian Target, where discounts and compensations were given to existing and new customers. All of these three things lead to a huge financial impact on failure. So having an operations model that can limit this impact is key. When dealing with a security incident, three things are key. Firstly, we need to have the ability to diagnose, deliver and deploy a fix to the issue in as fast a time as possible to make sure we reduce the time that the service has been spent unavailable. Secondly, having a deployment target that allows you to not only deploy the changes quickly, but also in a way that is robust and secure. And thirdly, having a learning culture in your organisation in which flaws and mistakes are learning opportunities to be publicly shared across the organisation. A you build it, you run it operating model gives you all three of these outcomes for your digital services. Let's look into three of the things that you can do to have the ability to diagnose, deliver and deploy a fix to a security issue in as fast a time as possible. The first thing is making sure that we can architect for adaptability. What this means is designing loosely coupled product teams and loosely coupled digital services, giving you the ability to fail gracefully when a production failure inevitably occurs. This allows customers to partially use your digital service and your business outcomes to be partly realised while full availability is stored in the background. Examples about how you can architect for adaptability are things like eliminating avoidable service dependencies. That's to ensure that you can reduce the blast radius of your security issue. Sometimes that's not always possible. So if you can't eliminate them, then think about how you can soften them. And you can do this by using techniques such as asynchronous queues, circuit breakers, even on-the-wire caches, and rate limiters wherever appropriate. And another example is to be able to actually shutter a service on failure. So creating a user-friendly shutter page to replace any of those entry points for when it is entirely unavailable, reducing the brand impact to your organisation. The second thing we can look at doing is automating your telemetry tool chain. So by fully automating your telemetry pipeline and continually to refine your logs, monitorable and alertable events, you can really quickly identify and diagnose those abnormal operating conditions or security issues. This includes the scope of this is being able to automate your login, your monitoring, your alerting, your incident response, and even your incident collaboration tool. The third thing is looking at how you can maximize the discovery of teams and services. So when you have a security incident, you need to know what are all the teams and services that could be affected quickly. In this scenario, having a service catalogue as part of your digital platform will aid you to know who to go to and who to get involved at speed. Now let's look at 3 things that you can do that allow you to deploy changes quickly, but in a way that is also robust and secure. Firstly, it's the ability to be able to be prepared to deploy at any time. So ensuring a digital service is always deployable means that a monolith or a set of microservices are always passing their automated functional tests and are always ready to be signed off in an exploratory testing and always prepared to go through a deployment process into production, allowing you to apply the fix needed as quickly and as safely as possible. The second thing is automating your change audit. So build each deployment pipeline as a fully automated compliance tool for change management. Use a version control system such as GitHub to store all updates and audit your deployments to make it much easier later to find and diagnose if something in the deployment goes wrong. Lastly, look at establishing specialists as a service. Turn the skill sets of specialist operations teams into consumable services. This creates a balance between the breadth of cross-functional product teams and the depth of specialist expertise in operational areas. Security specialists and DBAs are a perfect candidate for this, and they have the prime expertise as a group to swarm together as a team and apply a necessary fix, or even advise in a security or data breach. Now let's look at 2 things that you can do to improve your ability to learn from these mistakes, or better still, try and prevent them from occurring. The first thing is holding chaos days. So run day-long events that introduce failures into your digital services, but in a safe and controlled manner. What this will do is it will encourage your teams to reduce the blast radius of faults and refine their mental models and build up the relationships with dependent teams, getting to know one another before an incident happens. If your production environment can't handle a controlled level of stress, then run a chaos day in a test environment, and this gives you great insights into how to handle the events. Better still, target one of those events as a hackathon, where you are specifically looking for security vulnerabilities, but in a safe and controlled way. To find out more about Chaos Days, take a look at our Chaos Days playbook, written by Lindsay Plewer. The link is in the description below. Another thing is to look at measuring your deployment throughput and reliability. By measuring your deployment throughput and reliability, you are enabling yourself to look for and understand where to improve, allowing you to prioritise the things that have the biggest impact on you. A great book on this subject is one written by my co-author Steve Smith, called Measuring Continuous Delivery. So here's my take-home message. All of the practices I have described in this video are core practices to running in a You Build It, You Run It operating model, but they are also great in not only helping you to fix those security incidents if they happen, but preempt them and be ready to handle them if they occur. Using You Build It, You Run It for your digital services is perfect to help you in that rare event that a large security incident occurs. If you're interested to start assessing which of your services might benefit from a You Build It, You Run It model, like this video or subscribe to the channel for more help on your You Build It, You Run It journey. Alternatively, if you need help implementing some of these practices or evaluating your delivery with a secure delivery health check, then contact me or Equal Experts for more details. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to get more exciting content just like this.